Good afternoon. We'll be starting today's webinar in just a couple of minutes. A very good afternoon to everyone, and thank you for joining our webinar today on scaling your business, which is going to focus on Amazon Sponsored Products Masterclass. We hope you're going to get a lot out of this because we've got a very experienced guest speaker, Bernie Thompson from Efficient Era. Bernie's going to walk us through how you can use Amazon Sponsored Products, and this will be very, very useful if you already have a business at scale on Amazon, or indeed if you're rapidly growing your business and looking to scale up to the next level and want to find out how to accelerate your business and grow even faster using tips and tricks that experienced Amazon sellers use. So I'd like to introduce Bernie to you. Bernie, good afternoon.
Hey, Chris, great to be here with you.
If you have any questions, you will find a little panel on the side where you can ask questions, and we'll try and answer them through the webinar, so that you get your answer the section that is relevant. But don't worry, if we don't get to your question, there will be time for questions and answers at the end. So Bernie, over to you.
Okay, great. Thanks, Chris. Yeah, so like Chris said, I am somebody who's been selling on Amazon for a long time. I have a private label business called Pluggable Technologies, which has been around since 2009. To be successful over all these years, we've really had to try to keep up with kind of the important techniques for success on Amazon, and certainly in the last few years, a key part of that is sponsored products. And in fact, we have our own tools to help automate sponsored products because of how much time it was taking. So we're going to kind of go over the full kind of end-to-end advanced strategies for sponsored products, hopefully helping you either plan a business that might put its products on Amazon, or if, as Chris said, if you're a kind of an established company, do much better with sponsored products maybe than you've done in the past. So a little bit of kind of what we're going to cover today, and sponsored products is this kind of deep area that is a bit time consuming. It's connected with everything. It's connected with your whole model for how you're going to do your business. It's connected with whether your products are going to be successful with organic search. So the kind of advanced techniques that we're going to talk about today touch all parts of your business, and we're going to try to create and explain some of those connection points. So sponsored products and in general, kind of just doing everything you can to do well on Amazon has really become no longer optional. Here across the pond in the US, Amazon is dominant. So you've got this huge market where if you're not selling on Amazon, you're really only getting table scraps from some of the other marketplaces. Over 2 million sellers on the platform and over 140,000 sellers with over 100,000 in sales. In Europe, Amazon is doing well, not as dominant as they are in the US, still kind of the essential marketplace, especially if you're doing your own branded products, which is almost, there's still a lot of retail arbitrage out there, but really what we're talking about here with sponsored product ads, for the most part, is cases where you will have developed your own unique or private label products, and now you're trying to drive traffic, drive attention, drive sales to those products. So another thing that has shifted in the last few years and is very much connected with ads is having a clear financial plan is no longer optional. And this relates to ads because you really need to know, kind of, are you set up for success for attacking a particular product category and a certain set of keywords that you need to win for that category. If you were to summarize success on Amazon in kind of one thing to focus on, it is basically, is my product coming up for search for a certain set of keywords? Sponsored products ads are one way that you can guarantee that they come up for a certain amount of the time, because Amazon does place the ads up ahead of organic search results. But ultimately what you're trying to do is you're trying to get your product to move up organically in search position. And in order to do that, and in order to pick the right products to do that, you really want to kind of go through this process here of saying, okay, well, I have this product idea. This product is differentiated in certain ways. I believe that people who are looking for this aspect of a product are really going to like what we're doing. Maybe these other aspects are things where we've just somehow done something better. And we focus then in on the keywords that people would be searching for related to those, to our product generally, and probably more importantly, our key differentiators. And then we need to look at what is the sales velocity necessary to win that keyword. Now, what do I mean by that? Well, Amazon rewards, the number one factor for Amazon search position is actually historical sales. And so in a sense, if you can just get the product to sell a certain amount, and then if the product organically converts well, you will get that product up in search, and because it organically converts well, you'll stay in that position in search. And so you have this process where you basically want to figure out, okay, well, for whoever is currently at number one for that keyword, what is their sales velocity for that keyword? And there's tools that you should use that are out there. It's actually not one of the things that our tools do, but that allow you to enter keywords and find out both search volume and also sales velocity, daily sales velocity for certain keywords. Then you need to think about what are the lead times for your reorders. In some categories of products, you might be looking at anything as quick as a month or two, but usually actually you're talking about 3 or 4 months. So now you need to create a financial budget where you have enough money to do all the ads you're planning, all the giveaways you're planning, all the other marketing you're planning, to place your initial order and to have enough stock so that you can kind of jump to that number one or top few positions for that keyword, and then not run out of stock before your next reorder comes in. And a lot of times this is a lot of money that you actually need to have in order to really win. I mean, the worst thing to happen is to spend all this money, have a great launch, and then immediately go out of stock. You'll immediately kill your sales velocity and your search position by doing that. So, and then and if you don't have enough cash to target a certain product and a certain set of keywords, well, then you need to back off a little bit and target a smaller niche. So this is a whole kind of area of analysis. We won't go any deeper than that here in this presentation, but it is very much connected, as you can see, with kind of your keyword strategy and your ad strategy. So we wanted to make sure to mention that. So then once you have that plan, once you actually launch, you want to track your actuals to plan. And this is an area that our tools cover and a bunch of other tools do too, where it takes, what you're seeing here is for a particular product, kind of month to month to month. What is the proportion of our cost of product, our ad spend, other Amazon fees, promotions, and then finally, how much profit is left after all of that. And so a lot of times your plan, and this is another important aspect that that relates to ads, will have you losing money in the early months on the product as you're trying to win those kind of critical first sales. You need those first sales in order to get your first reviews, which is another kind of chicken and egg problem. So a common pattern for both the plan and then the actuals to plan is you're putting out red ink in those early months. You're losing money. You're investing in order to get the flywheel spinning for that product and to build that product's search position on Amazon. And then once that's established, then you're able to kind of back off on promotions, maybe back off a little bit on your ad spend, and tune that product to get profitable. So this is kind of a classic marketing funnel tuned a little bit for Amazon. You basically have impressions. This is where your ad is going to get shown somewhere on Amazon in search or in an ad that maybe even might get displayed on somebody else's product. And then you have clicks where people choose to click on that ad or that piece of information about your product that's showing up in search, and then sales and reviews. And when one important thing to understand about Amazon is it's the most competitive marketplace in the world. You could have the best product in the world at the best price, and if you just stick that on Amazon, absolutely nothing will happen. So the ads have become, you really need to use a number of techniques, but ads, and especially on Amazon sponsored product ads, have become the most important mechanism you have in your toolbox to be able to kind of get that funnel started, create some early impressions, and have that flow through to sales and sales momentum and reviews and the additional higher conversion rate that comes from reviews. So we're trying to influence every step of this funnel. So in particular, what are we going to cover? Well, debugging ads on Amazon are wonderful in that they give you more data than you're going to get anywhere else about how consumers are perceiving your product as it relates to what they're searching for. And so we actually use ad data to debug what's happening with organic search, in addition to influencing what Amazon does with organic search. We also want to do product-specific targeting in terms of how much money are we hoping to make, or should I say, how profitable do we want our ads to be, or are we prepared to lose money? The most basic form of this is that when you launch a product, you're going to have an ACoS, which is an average cost or advertising cost of sales, that is going to be higher. You're going to be spending more on ads, and then later on, when the product matures, you're going to be, taking that more into the profitable range. And then we're going to talk about a couple of other things, including campaign structure, confidence-based bidding, and then thinking about what ACoS you should target based on the larger picture of your overall return on ad spend. Okay, so diving into debugging your organic search, your search engine optimization, your Amazon A9 optimization from ad data. So in a tool, for example, like ours, or when you're looking in Seller Central at the ad data, you'll look at a line, a keyword that you're advertising for on a product, and you're thinking, wow, this is exactly what this product is all about. And if I were searching those keywords, I would want my product. However, you'll often see that Amazon is giving that ad for that keyword 0 impressions. So what's going on there? Well, one of the first things that you want to check is, and this is very common, you may not even be indexed for that keyword in organic search, meaning that Amazon either is not finding that particular keyword anywhere in your listing or not finding it high enough, or a number of other factors, like you could be in a category on Amazon where Amazon has actually blacklisted that keyword or made it a negative keyword is really the right way to say it. And so, for example, our tool, when you're there looking at that impression line, there's a easy button to click to go do a search on Amazon and check whether the product is indexed, so you can see why you might have 0 impressions. Low impressions are really common. There's lots of people on Amazon's ad platform, and Amazon is going to round robin and kind of hand impressions to whoever's bidding the most. And so basically with low impressions, you want to bid up aggressively at first until you find where the price point is for that keyword, and then kind of see how much sales that's generating for you, and then maybe back off later if it's above your average cost of sales target. But first you got to bid up aggressively, because a lot of times it's surprising, kind of how high the price is for a certain keyword, and you want to find that price quickly and find out if it has a proportional impact on sales, or if it's a keyword that you should kind of let go on. So a good target, it's hard to create targets for some of these different metrics, but if you're getting thousands of impressions a week per keyword, then you're getting lots of good data. That means that you're going to have at least a few clicks every week, and probably a few sales every week, and you'll have data that you can that's actionable on a weekly basis. There's a lot of longer tail keywords that you're just simply never going to be able to get thousands of impressions on, and that's fine. And those are great keywords to go after. Just know that you're probably only going to kind of have accumulated enough data to make decisions every few weeks, or maybe even every few months, on some of those long tail keywords. So yeah. Okay, so impressions turn into clicks. So now a user's taken an action. You have their attention. They've shown some interest. They've clicked on your ad, or clicked on your, in this case, or in the organic realm, they've clicked on your product from a search. So the most important kind of metric that you're looking at here is, okay, well, if for every X number of impressions, how many clicks do I get? And what if I'm getting kind of low clicks per impression? Well, very often when we start our ad campaigns, in fact, we should very often with ad campaigns throw a very wide net at first. We don't really know often what our customers are going to be searching for, especially, for example, with Amazon, you might be advertising in Germany and France and Spain. They might not be native languages to you. And so your ability to understand consumer behavior and understand what consumers are going to search for when they're looking for your product is not perfect. And so you want to throw a wide net at first. But at that point, you're going to have a lot of impressions probably for every click that you're going to win, because you're not very precise with the targeting. So you want to tighten that targeting down over time based on what you're seeing out of customer behavior. You also want to improve the main image and title and the price, which is basically the stuff that gets shown to people when they're looking at just an ad or a search result. And a decent target here, again, it's very kind of category specific and things like that. But if you can get to around 200 impressions for each click, you're kind of in the green zone here for kind of having a tightly targeted set of keywords and ads. Okay, so now we're getting down to dollars or pounds or euros, and so now, what happens if we have a number of low orders per click, or lower than we expect? What's going wrong there? Well, people have clicked, so they've actually come into our product detail page, and then for some reason they're not buying if we're getting a low number of orders per click. They thought they were interested, but when they really saw the product details, they decided, this isn't the product for me. So to the main image and title that they saw before they clicked, did they set clear expectations that kind of match what's in the detail? Do I have a high quality main listing? One of the most important things to do in recent years on Amazon is get into what Amazon calls their brand registry program, which is if you're a brand, a private label product, they validate that with your ownership of trademarks, and they give you a bunch of extra capabilities, and those capabilities include the ability to upload video and to have a more rich detail page for your product. And those will help with this conversion of clicks to orders. And then lastly, and we said earlier that ads maybe don't affect this, but in fact, ads affect reviews too. Bad keyword targeting can lead to people buying the wrong product, which can lead to a negative review. So on Amazon, you don't have negative keywords on organic, but you do have negative keywords on ads. They're kind of dangerous. They're a big hammer in the sense that if you put a very broad negative keyword on a campaign, any variant of that keyword being present anywhere is going to cause that ad not to be shown. But it's a great tool to solve problems like this, where you might be having the wrong people actually buying your product, leading to negative reviews. So it's kind of nice here. It's very holistic. If you kind of step back and think about how Amazon has designed this system, you're really in the end just trying to make the right thing happen. You're trying to make the right people who ultimately will be happy with your product. You want to drive those people to buy your product. And if you're able to do that well without distracting other people, in the sense that you've got high conversion rate, you've really honed in on those people, Amazon's system is designed to reward you for that refinement. And so the only challenge is all of that refinement takes a lot of work. And so, in terms of adding keywords, in terms of adjusting bids, in terms of adjusting the match type for keywords, whether you're matching broadly based on a phrase algorithm or an exact match where people are searching for exactly that, you've got to spend a lot of time and energy kind of refining all of that in order to have this kind of perfect funnel where all the right people are being kind of sent to buy your product and they're happy with it. And if you do that well, your ads are actually training Amazon's organic algorithm. You're proving to Amazon that this product is high converting for these keywords. Amazon is looking at these statistics like the conversion rates. So it's if you can get it to the point where your funnel is highly refined, and we've done this over and over again for a lot of products, it has a huge positive impact on your Amazon organic search, but for a whole host of reasons. Amazon's algorithm is designed to achieve that end. So what's the number one factor for conversion? Accurate keywords. I search for something, I get products that kind of match what I'm searching for. And then within that, once I kind of have a product that matches what I'm searching for, reviews is the second most important factor. I want that social proof that this is a good product. And then the third is probably the main image, just that when people are looking at a list of choices and they can't, they're often reacting first kind of instinctually off of what the main image looks like. Okay, so we talked earlier about the business plans and product-specific ACoS targeting. So let's kind of dive a little bit more into this, because this is a really important element. So average cost of sales or advertising cost of sales is basically, for what you spend on ads, what percent is that of your total ad generated sales? So one way to think about it is it correlates very nicely with your net profit margin. If your ACoS is equal to your net profit margin, kind of in simplistic terms, you're breaking even on each of those sales. So it's important when you start thinking about, okay, well, what should my ACoS be, that you know what your net profit margin is on your product. And for a lot of us, selling in online marketplaces with our own brands, margins are not huge. They're not as big as they used to be, and so you might be talking about only a 10 or 20% net margin, maybe 30%. In the launch phase, you're actually going to go beyond that margin. It's really a few years ago, you could often get away with kind of making money on your ads, even in the earliest phases of a product. There's very few categories on Amazon where that's true today. You've got to be prepared to lose money. So if your net profit margin is 10%, you're probably going to be spending 20 or 30% ACoS to get that flywheel spinning, to get that initial traffic going, to get those first reviews. So yep, you're going to spend lots of money until you can get those first reviews. Amazon reviews are critical on Amazon. They have a dramatic impact on conversion rate, which affects everything here. Of course, we've gone through a process in recent years where a few years ago, sellers on Amazon, brands on Amazon were gaming the review system. And Amazon has cracked down on that. There's still gamesmanship that goes on. Great example of that, I'll just use the example of Amazon themselves. Amazon Basics uses a program that's only available to their wholesale, called the retail division. They do Vine for all their Amazon Basics products. Well, if they don't like the reviews that are coming in, they stop the Vine reviews from coming in, whereas third parties can't do that. So there's still kind of review gamesmanship that happens, even that Amazon does. But for the most part, you need to just get those initial reviews simply by driving sales. Most of, unless you're going to push boundaries and take risks that ultimately, will probably get you in trouble. The reviews have to come from just sales that you generate. So ads are an important part of that, and you've got to be prepared to invest more until you can get the first reviews to come in. And then once you actually have a successful product, you've successfully moved up to where you want to be in search position and everything, then maybe you can have an ACoS that's lower than your margin. But we actually want to factor in that every ad generated sale is actually worth more than just that sale alone. You're spinning up the flywheel on the ASIN. Amazon's rewarding that sale with more organic sales afterward. And customers often, and a product may have an average order size of more than 1 unit per sale. And then on top of that, there's the customer loyalty. Customers may come back for future orders. So that's return on ad spend, and you actually want to analyze that as products mature and then feed that back in. And we'll talk a little bit more about that. So our tool kind of works at this level that you can set an ACoS that's specific to product. You have an account default, but then you can override it on a per product basis. So you can do all of these things, like have an ACoS that's higher for launch and do a total return on ad spend analysis and adjust that later. So just real quickly, campaign structure. If you're doing campaigns manually without a tool, we recommend 1 auto and 1 manual campaign per product. Auto campaigns, not because they're high converting, they're actually, Amazon's auto targeting is terrible, but they give you a few placements that you don't get with manual campaigns. A great example of that is your ads will be shown in the checkout cart as people are buying other products, and those turn out to be high converting ads, and unfortunately there isn't a way to get those placements in a manual campaign. Only an auto campaign will do it. 1 ad group per campaign with broad phrase and exact all in it. And this will give you simplicity and clarity of reporting and control. The key element here is only 1 product per campaign, because we want to be able to get that clear reporting, and whatever it is that, no product is exactly identical to any other product. There's at least a characteristic like color that's different. And so we want to make sure that all of our keywords and our targeting are only for that product and very specific to that product, and we don't create confusion where we're steering people to the wrong products. And then also the clarity of reporting. Another thing that, if you're doing this manually, to think about is confidence-based bidding. It's very easy with all of the ad data that you get to kind of jump around in your bids and jump around in your decisions. For our own tool, we're really looking for a sufficient amount of data before we do even cautious increments, and then a higher threshold where we say, okay, well, this is very definitive data. We're going to do aggressive adjustments. So It can be difficult sometimes to get this many clicks. We talked earlier about trying to get to a few thousand impressions per week if we can. That's kind of what you need to get to get to 10 or more clicks. So you may also want to, another good reason to kind of spend more early in a product launch is so that you can get more data faster. So that you can figure out where your bids need to be, which keywords you're working for, and all of that. If you spend too slowly at first, you're going to learn too slowly. Okay, so diving in just a little deeper here on this return on ad spend. So, okay, we made this statement that an ad-generated sale is not just about that order, that sale, that money. It's actually about a whole bunch of extra effects that ad-generated sale do for you. So here's really the top ones. First of all, that sale will get other sales because it will move you up in Amazon search position. Just simply one ad-generated sale will move you up some amount across all the keywords that Amazon feels was relevant to that sale, and so that will get you more sales. Impressions. Impressions that don't even convert, that don't convert to clicks, that don't convert to sales, are still showing your products to consumers. And there's a lot of important marketing knowledge that people need to see a brand or see a product several times before they're going to trust that and move into that. Amazon tries to change some of that psychology and just kind of a lot of consumers will just trust Amazon search, but still a lot of times you need to think about kind of building your brand and slow funnels where people might see your product or products several times in search results before finally they go, oh, I recognize them, I'm going to buy them. So impressions are giving you value even though actually on the Amazon platform you're not paying for them. And then multiple items per order and customer lifetime value, which means basically, the kind of combination of items per order and repeat orders. And so, easily each ad-driven sale can be worth 1.5 or 2 times the revenue that you actually got directly from it. And that affects then your ACoS target that you want to set. So if I'm trying to if I'm thinking about, okay, well, I want to basically break even on my ads, then I really want to kind of factor in this return on ad spend. And if I'm not factoring it in, then I'm actually spending on ads, and I'm leaving a lot of opportunity on the table. So this kind of analysis on total return on ad spend, you need some tool help to do it. In our tools we highlight repeat orders and we highlight kind of average order size, and so doing these calculations, then you can feed that back in to your target ACoS on each product.
Bernie, we've had an interesting question come in.
Yes.
From Kanishka. Reviews for a new product. What's a reasonable number of reviews to kind of target for a new product to actually get it moving?
Yeah, we actually ran a whole bunch of product launches that actually came from our brand through a machine learning algorithm to try to determine kind of what's correlated and where the inflection points were. And for reviews, it validated the theory that your first review produces a really meaningful bend in the conversion rate. Your 5th review is another threshold, and then your 20th or so review. And then the next threshold after that is whatever is the kind of average number of review or the number of reviews of the top products in that category, which might be a huge number. It might actually be thousands. So what's happening there is with 0 reviews you have no social proof. 1 review changes that. 5 gets people thinking, oh, okay, well, this isn't just an anomaly. There's a pattern to it. 20 is when Amazon studied this about 5 years ago, that 20 was the big threshold that came out in their study of sufficient social proof. But obviously there's a competitive angle, which is that number above it. So I think those are the key thresholds. And of course that they have to be, positive reviews that compared to your competition, the review average looks good. And sometimes when you launch a product, you know that you get unlucky with the first review or two, and you've just got to take that listing down and relist and start over, unfortunately, because it can be very hard to recover when you got unlucky and your product got saddled with a 1-star review when ultimately the product might turn out to have a 4-star average or a 5-star average over time. I hope that answers it.
Yeah, a couple more questions have come in. Another one on reviews. Is there a way to get more reviews? From Rick, and also from Vida. How many orders should you have, or before moving from sort of ACOS margin ACOS is greater than margin to ACOS is equal to margins?
Yeah, how to get more reviews is a super hard problem. You can see everybody futzing about it on the forums. All Amazon has been, I think it's good that Amazon has been kind of cracking down on review gamesmanship, but it's meant that there aren't any tricks to it. I mean, for us, we've always been slow about it. It's always taken us kind of months to get up to that social proof of like 20 reviews on products. So it just requires kind of patience, which also means money, and that kind of gets to the answer to the second question. When can you make that flip to thinking about having your ad programs be profitable? Well, it's really all about that business plan, and it's really all about how much runway do you have financially, and are you able to get to the kind of top search position with a high converting product, before you run out of money. So if you're able to get up to the top search position for your keywords, and your product organically really is a good product, a product that's worthy of that search position, people are going to keep choosing that product. You can turn your ads profitable at that point. You can tune them down, and now you're just trying to drive awareness. A lot of times you'll hit a situation where your product is not so clearly differentiated, and even once you get to the #1 search position, you still need to throw quite a bit of kind of energy at that product in the form of ads, because if you stop doing the ads, people will kind of look at the details of your product and go, okay, that's fine, but I'm going to pick the product that's 1 or 2 positions down from that. So it all kind of depends on how strong your product actually is in terms of, kind of winning customers. And you can bend, that with ads a bit. Okay, well, go ahead and jump in, Chris, with any other questions, but just to kind of throw down some. Yeah, throw down some kind of typical numbers here, just because a lot of times people are going, okay, well, I have no idea what normal is. So I don't know what normal is either. I think normal varies a lot, category to category. But here's some kind of guidelines, if you want, about what we find is typical across kind of a wide range of categories. So, pitfalls with advertising. Well, we've talked quite a bit about reviews, and it really is a chicken and egg problem. You're gonna be, kind of pushing a boulder uphill until you have reviews on your product, until you have that social proof. You're going to send 10 people to the product, and 5 of them are going to go, the product has no reviews, and they'll walk away. Whereas later on, once the product has reviews, and assuming they're good reviews, you might win all 10 of those customers. So there is now, with the lack of other ways to get reviews on Amazon, there's a real chicken and egg problem, which requires, again, that patience and that budget, the financial plan, to be able to, invest in ads for weeks or months until you're able to get those initial sales and reviews driven. Another pitfall is budgets. People get really confused about the actual budget on an ad campaign. They think it's somehow a way to, manage how much they spend. Nope, don't use it that way. That's a pitfall. You really want to never run out of budget. You don't want to have your ads stop at, 8 a.m. and then, hand the rest of the day to your competitors. The way you manage your spend is not through budgets, but through managing to target ACOS and then, adjusting your bids up or down You don't manage through budgets because you want your ads running the full day, not stopping at some arbitrary point during the day because it's hit the daily budget, which is how Amazon structures it. Amazon structures it as a daily budget. 3 and 4 are basically, you want to throw a very wide net at first, but then it takes a lot of work, a lot of futzing with your keywords and your bids to tighten that net over time, and you need to do both of those things. And then last, relying only on ads, you need overwhelming force, and this kind of goes also to the review question. Whereas a few years ago on Amazon, you could basically, launch a product in Amazon and play a few games and have a successful product. Today, because the games aren't possible, or they'll get you kicked off the platform very quickly, it's really back to kind of classic marketing. I mean, you need to drive attention for these products off Amazon. You need to make a fuss about them, get them in some press, let the world know about them in other ways, and throw all of that energy at getting those people to buy on Amazon. That in combination with your ads and all of your other efforts is what's going to, make for successful product launches. So all of this kind of tightening of the net is very time consuming, as I mentioned. We basically had somebody spending 3 to 4 days a week just on managing our bids, managing our keywords, refining our keywords. And so we created our ad tool, our automation, in order to try to basically automate that job, automate everything that we were doing manually on some very large campaigns for a very large selling business. And we launched that a few months ago. We already have over 16,000 ad campaigns that we're managing. And we are saving 90% of our time on all of those bid adjustments and all of those keyword refinements by using this ad automation. Basically, all the things that we talked about in this presentation and a lot more at a detail level, this ad tool does it all automatically and just pops them up as recommendations for you. The way we use that is we'll quickly scan through those recommendations and reject a few that don't make sense for some reason that we can discern that the AI and the algorithm can't, and then we just accept the rest of them. So basically, we spend about 10% of the time we used to, rejecting a few of our software's own recommendations, and then boom, we accept all of them, and we've saved about 90% of the time that we used to be spending. So now instead of 3 or 4 days, it's actually more like 3 or 4 hours, in a whole week that our person who's managing this spends on those ads. So huge savings, and we're not the only tool. There's a bunch of ad tools out there in the marketplace, but and I think all of them will save you an enormous amount of time because of how detail-oriented this is. But of course, we like our ad tool. Our ad tool is in the Marketplace App Store, which is not available right now in Seller Central Europe. It's only available in Seller Central US, but I expect that'll change. But if you just go to efficienterror.com and sign up, or if you sign up through Seller Central US, our tool itself works in all of those marketplaces. It works in all the European marketplaces, all the US marketplaces, and Japan, and Canada and Mexico also. So, you really need to be using ad automation to kind of handle the the huge amount of detail that you've got to do to manage ads properly. And our tool is a really great ad tool that we really thought through, and it's getting used at high volume by a lot of different sellers. So just because of where we sit right now, 2 weeks or so before Prime Day 2018, I want to mention some things about that. As it relates to ads, the biggest pitfall with Prime Day is it's a huge traffic spike for Amazon. So all of your impressions are going to go way up. Now you're only paying for clicks, and your clicks may not go up quite proportionally with impressions, but we adjust our budgets up dramatically for Prime Day, and really would recommend that you take whatever your daily budgets are and make sure there's plenty of headroom so that you're not running out of ad spend and your ads are stopping right in the middle of Prime Day. So 4x your budgets before Prime Day. Of course, that you need to make sure that you're not thinking of budgets as limits. You're not managing your actual budgeting through that. You're managing your kind of how much you want to spend based on what you're actually spending and your target ACOSs and stuff. You know, to use budgets any other way, you know, is a pitfall, and you want to avoid that. Not ad related, if you're running lightning deals, if you were lucky enough to get any Prime Day deals, double check them for suppression. This came up in an Amazon podcast that Amazon just did. We went and checked. We have two Prime Day deals running for our private label business, and it turns out both of them were suppressed. One was suppressed because some third-party seller came along in the last month and came in at a lower price, and then Amazon saying, well, we've got to be, you know, not 20% below our price, but 20% below that competitor on our ASIN, which is really annoying. And you know, anyways, but it's the reality of the situation. So we had to drop our Prime Day deal if we wanted to keep it. And then, of course, you set up your Prime Day deals probably a few weeks ago. Your stock levels may have changed. Our other Prime Day deal, we had less stock than we had when we set it up, so it was suppressed because we didn't have enough stock now. So we just adjusted the size of the lightning deal to make sure that it was active again. So that's a great thing for anybody who's involved with actually doing things on Prime Day to double check that. So next steps, if you just email social@efficientera.com with Tamebay in the subject, we'll get you a whole bunch of stuff. 2 white papers on Amazon sponsored products, which detail different aspects of what we covered today. Instead of our normal 30-day free trial, a 60-day free trial of Efficient Era. You know, 2 whole months to figure out whether this ad tool really helps you as much as we think it will, and you know, as much as, you know, if it's worth the money, and then an invitation to an in-depth product demo if that would help you out. I also wrote a book on selling on Amazon. This is not necessarily ad focused. There's a chapter on ads in this book, but it's really our kind of end-to-end complete view of how to be successful on Amazon as a private label. If you go to efficientera.com/flywheels, you'll find that book. And you know, I honestly think this is actually one of the most readable and best books on selling on Amazon out there. You know, I wrote it. I used a ghostwriter. It is something that people do, and Johnny is awesome, and she did a great job with the writing in this book. So while the ideas come from how we actually run our private label business, you've got a professional writer doing it who did an awesome job, and people who read this book say it's one of the best books they've seen on how to sell on Amazon. So, and the Kindle version is really cheap and easy to get access to. So there you go. So we had a few questions right during the presentation. If there's any more questions,
yeah, we've got a few more questions for you, Bernie. So a couple of related questions. One is, if you have a large range, are there any negatives in terms of perception to have it all available but only focus on a smaller group for promotion and pricing in the first phase of the business? And that's kind of linked to Hannah's question, which is, if you have a separate campaign for every product, don't you just end up competing for your own keywords for similar products?
Right. Yeah. So to answer the first question, or the second question first, within sponsored products, you will never compete against yourself for your own keywords, in the sense that you will not bid yourself up. What Amazon will do is they will, if you're bidding for the same keyword across multiple products, they're going to give those impressions to wherever you bid more, but they're not going to kind of bid you against yourself and push up your costs, if that makes sense. I mean, you can ask more if that doesn't. So they intend for it to be, and in fact it is safe, to bid on the same keyword in multiple campaigns of yours. Now, if you're doing sponsored products and you're using a different Amazon ad system, like there's a whole bunch of Amazon ad systems. Another one is called AMS, which is not through Seller Central, and it's through another mechanism. It is possible to end up bidding yourself up when you're doing it across 2 different ad systems. But within sponsored products, it's not possible to bid yourself up. And then related to the other question, should I start with a portion of my product line, maybe ones that I'm launching? Yeah, I mean, I think that it's today, I think it's good advice to be advertising all of your products. Even if you've got something that is just sitting there at number one for all of its most important keywords, because you're going to have competitors coming in trying to knock you off of that perch. And so at least you want to be in there, advertising to defend that spot. Because if you think about it from a search perspective, Amazon is placing those ads ahead of the organic results. So, you're opening it up for a determined competitor to kind of come in and get themselves in front of, your product that may be a big winner right now. And bleed away your market, especially if they've got a product that is differentiated in some way better. So you really should be advertising the whole line, but yes, you should, for the products that you think still have a potential to do better, that they're not doing as well on Amazon as you believe they could. Those are the ones that you want to kind of do everything we talked about in terms of investing in a higher ACoS. So that you can move those products up in search position.
Fantastic. And another question is, if you use AMS and sponsored products with different logins, question from Josh, will you end up competing against yourself? And I'm guessing the answer to that is probably yes, if they're different logins.
Yes. So that's the scenario where you do need to be thoughtful about bidding against yourself, and I'm not aware of any tools that help for that scenario. Tool support would kind of be nice there, since Amazon doesn't do it for you. Where you might keep track of what keywords you're bidding on and make sure that you're not bidding against yourself, because kind of doing that manually is quite difficult. But yes, you do need to worry about that in that scenario.
And then, do you have any suggestions when it comes to testing incrementality of AMS advertising by itself and also versus other advertising channels? And should we be spending on Amazon, or should we be spending on Google, say, or Bing?
Right, yeah. The thing about Amazon is you get better data. So when, I started my private label business in 2009, from 2009 till 2013, we did almost all of our ad spending on Google AdWords. And we did a big A/B study in 2013, and sponsored products had just launched somewhere around that time. And we saw two things. I mean, one, that we saw that with Amazon, we had precise data, because Amazon can track the ad the whole way to the sale in a way that Google can't do, at least for an Amazon sale. And so we knew precisely what our ACoS was on Amazon. We were having to guess and do extrapolations and estimates for Google. But when we did those extrapolations and estimates, the Google AdWords was far less effective than Amazon sponsored products. And so around that time, around 2013, we flopped 100% of our budget from AdWords to Amazon sponsored products. And as far as I can tell, that is still generally the right answer today. There may be, there's definitely a few specific types of advertising that from time to time greatly outperform sponsored products. Like for the last few years, Facebook ads, if done well, were a more effective ad spend, but actually recent Facebook algorithm changes may have affected that determination. Some people do YouTube ads. So, but as a general statement, you get great, precisely what's happening with sponsored product ads, and they're highly effective. So, at least for us, that's where we put most of our ad dollars.
And then final two questions. Someone noticed, a video noticed your pricing is in US dollars. Will your tool convert to pounds sterling when looking at profitability of ads in the user dashboard? And the final question, because I think we should wrap after this one, is Domenico didn't get time to write down your email address.
Right, yeah. So we are working on better handling of foreign currencies. We do some of it right now. Whoops, I overshot. So there's there's the email. And then so we currently pull in all the financial data for all the European marketplaces. When you set up your account with us, you tell us what is your home marketplace, and we will show you the data from the perspective of your home marketplace. So if it's the UK, we'll show it to you in pound sterling. But we still have some work to do in that area. So we do it, but it's not perfect yet, and we're going to get it more perfect here in time. Because we, as part of the Efficient Era tools, have had a VAT tool for quite some time. We actually have a disproportionate number of European sellers on our tools, and so that's why we generally actually have really good support for the European marketplaces. And my private label business has been selling on Europe in all the European marketplaces basically since they opened. So, compared to most tools, we have really solid European support, but we still need to do a bit more in that area of currency conversion.
Bernie, I'd like to thank you so much for this afternoon. It's been fascinating, but also very, very instructive. Just for the people listening, of course, we will be making the recording of the webinar available very, very shortly. We'll drop you an email link to it, and we'll also be posting it on Tamebay and in some of our forums in the near future as well. And then we'll get it up on YouTube as well for you. If you do have any more questions, you can still see the email on screen, social@efficientera.com. And finally, thank you so much, Bernie, and thank you for your time.
Yeah, thanks so much, Chris, for the opportunity. It's great to get to talk about such an important topic.
Thanks for listening, guys, and this is us signing out.